Jesus, take the wheel! Is this my son's kitchen court or a science experiment gone wrong? Mama, good afternoon. Everything's under control. Under control. That pot has seniority in this house now. Vibes is why my son is eating off a plate with a cockroach leg in it. At least it was just the leg. My son married a wife, not a landlord. Fix this house, mend, or I fix your marriage myself. Permanently. Simei, when last did you bathe in this house?
Six months earlier, Kunlay was still a happy man. A simple one, too, an accountant at a mid-sized logistics firm in Lagos, the type who ironed his shirts the night before, greeted the security guard by name, and genuinely believed marriage was sacred. Whatever came, you faced it with patience and prayer. He was about to need both, desperately. Simei hadn't always been like this. In university, she was one of the finest girls in her set. Smooth skin, neat brows, always smelling faintly of coconut oil and confidence. But somewhere between university babe and somebody's wife, something in her quietly switched off, like a generator nobody remembered to refuel. By the time she married Kunlay, that switch had been off for a while. He just hadn't noticed. Love has a way of looking away. Warning sign number 1 arrived exactly 2 weeks into the marriage. Kunlay woke up, reached for his wife out of habit, and instead of coconut oil, got hit with a smell that made his eyes water on reflex. He genuinely thought something had died in the room. It was just Simei, existing. "Simi," he said gently. Nudged. She groaned, rolled over, mumbled something about 5 more decades, and went back to snoring. And when Simei snored, it had range. Bass, rhythm. Kunlay used to lie there wondering if NEPA had wired a generator directly into her nostrils. He let it slide. Newly married men let a lot slide. She's adjusting, he told himself. She'll settle. Famous last words. Days became weeks. Weeks became a full lifestyle. Simei bathed only when there was a reason, a wedding, an event where an old crush might show up. Any ordinary day that was just her, Kunlay, and God, water simply did not touch her. One evening he brought it up gently. "Simei, my love, have you bathed today?" She looked at him like he'd insulted her ancestors. "Why are you disturbing me this early with this?" "It's been days, baby." She sat up, adjusted her wrapper like a woman about to deliver a TED talk. "Kunlay, listen carefully. If you bathe too much, you will fade. Your skin needs its natural oils to breathe. Water washes away your shine. Look at those fine girls online. See what happens to their skin later, fading. I'm protecting my glow. You should be thanking me." He had no response. Zero science, maximum confidence. He said, "Okay, Simei," and quietly added extra air freshener to his shopping list on the way to work. That line, "If you bathe too much, you will fade," became her personal anthem. She said it so often with such conviction that by month 3 even Kunlay had started to wonder, out of sheer exhaustion, if maybe she had a point. She did not have a point. The underwear. Simei believed in breaking in a pair before retirement, minimum 2 weeks of continuous wear. Kunlay discovered this doing laundry, holding up a pair that had, frankly, developed its own personality. "Simei, what is this?" She didn't look up from the TV. "That's my lucky pair. Don't scrub too hard or the luck washes out." The bed sheets, changed only when they hit an undefined, deeply personal threshold of smell. Kunlay eventually gave up asking and just changed them himself quietly on Saturday mornings, while she slept through the entire operation. The toothbrush, found one morning damp in the soap dish, suspiciously near her shea butter. "I needed somewhere to rest my earring," she shrugged. "Your toothbrush was just there." He didn't ask. He just bought a new toothbrush and added it to the growing list of things he'd stopped questioning. The laundry, governed entirely by the smell test. Clothes were washed only after failing a sniff conducted at arm's length. Anything that passed, even barely, went straight back into rotation. He once watched her sniff a blouse, make a face like she was solving a math problem, shrug and wear it to a family event. He prayed silently the whole car ride that nobody would stand too close to her. None of it prepared him for the flask. Every so often, guilt or Mama's visits would trigger a small act of wifely duty. That week it was lunch. A reasonable woman uses a clean flask. Simei used the one that had been sitting under the sink for an undetermined length of time, quietly running its own ecosystem. She packed hot jollof and stew straight into it, beaming. "Baby, I made your lunch today," she said, glowing like she'd cured a disease. He kissed her forehead. He believed things were turning around. At 1 p.m., in a full cafeteria, surrounded by colleagues, including Whale, who has the memory of an elephant and the mouth of a town crier, Kunlay opened his flask. The smell arrived before the visual. 3 people at the next table stood up and walked away. He looked down. Floating in what used to be jollof rice was something green, fuzzy and biologically confused, and perched delicately on the rim like it was posing for a magazine cover, a single unmistakable cockroach leg. Kunlay screamed, not a manly cough, a full pastor-summoning shriek. He knocked his own chair over, backing away from the table. Whale lost it completely, phone already recording. "Bro, I have to tell everybody about this." "Your wife is trying to finish you off slowly," someone shouted between laughs. By the time he got home that night, he'd been nicknamed Roach Flask by 4 different departments. He found Simei on the couch, hair in a full disagreement with her pillow, watching a movie with the ease of a woman with 0 responsibilities. "Simei, the flask." "Which flask?" "The one you packed my food in." She thought about it, genuinely. "Oh, the one under the sink. I figured the heat from the food would kill whatever was in there." Silence. Long enough that even Simei felt a flicker of concern. "There was a cockroach leg in it, Simei." Just the leg. At least the whole body didn't make it in." He didn't argue. He walked into the bedroom and lay face down on the bed, like a man surrendering to fate. And that was still only the second worst thing that would happen to him that month. Mama Kunlay raised her son alone after his father passed when Kunlay was 12, trading fabric in the market with 0 patience for foolishness, especially foolishness wearing the title of wife. Her visits had been getting rarer, mostly because Kunlay kept postponing them out of shame. "Mama, next week the house is under renovation." "Mama, I'm not feeling well. Let's do next month." But a mother's instinct can only be delayed so long. She announced she was coming, convenient or not. That's the afternoon you saw at the top of this story. The bearded pot, the smell, the sentence Simei never wanted to hear. "When last did you bathe in this house?" After Mama left, Kunlay came home to find Simei still standing exactly where his mother had left her, arms crossed, staring at the mess like she was seeing it for the first time. He tried everything after that, gentle talks over tea, new sponges, nice soap, a vanity set with her name engraved on it. She'd admire the gifts for 2 days, then they'd join the graveyard of unused things, gathering dust in the bathroom. He even tried raising his voice once. "Simei, I need things to change. I can't keep explaining to my mother why my house looks like this. Just try." For a second, she looked like she might actually mean it. Her eyes softened. Her mouth opened like a real promise was coming. "Kunlay, you're stressing yourself for nothing. Rest is important too." He wanted to scream into a pillow. Instead, he nodded and walked away, adding one more failed attempt to the pile. Simei's best friend Bimpy found the whole saga hilarious at first. She'd laugh along, feet up on the couch. Men just want to control everything, even how often a woman bathes. Do you, babe? But even Bimpy's tune changed the day she visited and genuinely considered leaving her shoes outside for their own safety. "Simei," she said carefully, "I don't want to sound like your mother-in-law, but this has passed joke stage. Even I'm struggling to breathe in here." Undeterred, she came back a week later with a gift bag, scented candles, a fresh loofah, and a journal labeled in glitter pen, "My glow-up era." "We're not calling this cleaning," Bimpy announced, spreading it all across the coffee table like a pitch deck. "We're calling it a reset. You light a candle, you journal your goals, and somewhere in there, you casually bathe." For 4 days, it actually worked. Simei lit the candle nightly, wrote one line in the journal each time. "Today I thought about resting," and I did, and even used the loofah once. By day 5, the candle had melted into an unrecognizable blob near a fan. The journal had vanished under a pile of clothes, and the loofah had taken up permanent residence at the bottom of the shower, slowly developing a texture of its own. Bimpy took one look at the abandoned gift bag and sighed. "I really tried, Simei." Meanwhile, at the office, Roach Flask refused to die. Whale brought it up in meetings just to watch Kunlay's ears turn red. Kunlay wore the look of a man who'd accepted his role as comic relief in his own life. But underneath the jokes, something in him was shifting. He loved Simei, genuinely, deeply. But love, he was learning, cannot run on patience alone forever. The final straw came on an ordinary Tuesday. Kunlay came home early to cook dinner as a small peace offering. He found Simei fast asleep at 4 p.m., snoring at full generator volume, completely undisturbed by the world. He tried to wake her gently. She swatted at him like a fly and rolled over. He let her sleep and went to shower. Reaching for his towel, his one clean towel, kept separate, specifically off-limits, he discovered it had clearly been used for something it was never designed for. He won't describe exactly what. Just know it involved days-old, unwashed evidence of everything. He stood there in silence, holding it the same way he'd held that flask months earlier. This time, something in him didn't flare up. It settled, quietly, finally. He didn't shout. He didn't wake her. He set the towel down, got dressed, and sat in the parlor for a long time, thinking. The next morning, Simei woke at 11 a.m. to find Kunlay already dressed, sitting calmly with tea. Something about his calm felt unfamiliar. "Sit down, please. We need to talk." She sat, expecting another gentle lecture she'd forget by evening. "Okay, what's up?" "I've been thinking," he said, "about us, about this house, about what I actually want for my life, and I've made a decision." "Okay, what decision?" "Starting today, I'm hiring a house help. Her name is Comfort. She starts today. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, everything. Full salary, from my account. She'll also report directly to my mother, who volunteered enthusiastically to supervise." Simei blinked. Of all the things she'd braced for, threats, another ultimatum, him finally losing his temper, this was not it. A house help? For what? "So I'm supervising somebody now? That's more work." "Let me finish," he said, raising a hand. "Since Comfort handles the house and Mama supervises, you'll be taking over my role, outdoor errands, market runs, bank runs, dropping documents at the office, dry cleaning, the landlord, everything I used to quietly handle so you could rest." "Wait, so I'm doing outside work and someone else is doing the housework? That's not bad, actually." He continued, gentle but firm. And since Comfort's living in the boys' quarters and Mama's now handling grocery budgeting and household finances, your monthly allowance has been redirected to cover Comfort's salary and running costs. You'll need to start covering your personal expenses independently. The room went quiet. Simei sat up straight. Say that part again. Which part? The allowance part? Ah, yes, he said, sipping his tea, the picture of composure. Since you're no longer managing the household, clearly that wasn't something you wanted to do. It made sense to redirect those funds to someone who actually will. You've said many times you value your independence. I'm simply respecting it. You're free now, Simei. Completely free. No house duties. No allowance tied to house duties. Exactly the rest you always wanted. The trap, elegant, airtight, closed gently around her. But Kunlay, if I'm not managing the house money and my allowance is gone, how am I supposed to do my hair, I'm sure you'll figure it out. He stood straightening his tie. After all, you've always said rest is a right and hustle isn't for everyone. I'm just making sure you get exactly the rest you deserve in every area of your life. He kissed her forehead. Same as the morning of the flask. Except this time there was no warmth behind it, only Simei's slowly dawning, thoroughly horrified realization. He walked out for work, leaving her sitting there speechless, possibly for the first time in her life. For the rest of that day, Simei sat in the parlor doing math she'd never once bothered with. No personal income. Her hairdressing business, the one she'd started with real excitement before the wedding, had quietly died months ago, made irrelevant by Kunlay's allowance. Now the allowance was gone, and somewhere in the kitchen Comfort was humming cheerfully while scrubbing a sink Simei had ignored for months. Comfort, it turned out, was excellent. Within hours the house smelled like actual food. The fridge was reorganized. That mysterious growing thing finally identified and disposed of. Comfort reportedly screamed nearly as loud as Kunlay had. The whole place sparkled. Mama arrived that evening to inspect the new arrangement and practically glowed. You see how peaceful the house feels now? This is what I've been trying to tell you since day one. Simei said nothing. Watching a stranger do effortlessly in one day what she'd refused to do for an entire marriage stung more than she expected. The following week humbled her further. With no allowance and too much pride to ask outright, she needed money for basic things. She thought about asking Kunlay directly, but his calm, unbothered demeanor since the announcement told her that door was closed. For now. So reluctantly, she dug out her old hairdressing kit from the back of a cupboard and posted about her services in the neighborhood group chat. Nobody responded at first. Her reputation had preceded her, but eventually, out of pure desperation, she took a small job styling a neighbor's daughter for a birthday. And something unexpected happened. She was good at it, genuinely good, focused, present, working with her hands. It felt nothing like scrolling in bed. For the first time in a long while, she felt something like pride, earned pride. Weeks passed, forced by circumstance rather than sudden enlightenment. Simei slowly rebuilt routines she'd abandoned. More clients meant leaving the house, which meant, imagine that, actually bathing. Watching Comfort's quiet work ethic up close, day after day, did something to her that months of Kunlay's lectures never managed. It made her genuinely, quietly embarrassed of who she'd let herself become. One evening, about a month in after a dinner she'd actually helped Comfort prepare, Simei approached Kunlay. "Can we talk?" He nodded, set down his phone, gave her his full attention. "I've been thinking," she said, echoing his own words from weeks earlier, "about everything. The flask, your mom, all of it. I think I convinced myself that resting and neglecting were the same thing, that any push toward change was somebody trying to control me, but it wasn't control. It was just you wanting a partner. and I gave you a stranger who happened to share your bed instead. Kunlay listened, patient as ever, but something in his eyes softened for the first time in months. I don't want Comfort's salary to keep coming at the cost of us, she continued. I want to actually contribute again, to the house, to us, to myself. I've started building my hairdressing thing back up. It's small, but it's mine, and it's real. I'm not asking for the allowance back. I'm asking for a chance to actually be a partner, not a problem you have to manage around. He reached across the table and took her hand. That's all I ever wanted, Simei, he said softly. Not a perfect house, not a spotless flask. They both laughed, the joke finally starting to lose its sting. I just wanted us building something together, instead of me building alone while you disappeared into the background of your own life. Nothing transformed overnight into some unrealistic fairy tale. Simei still occasionally slept late, still occasionally needed reminding about the basics. Real change takes consistency, not one dramatic Tuesday. But the difference now was effort, visible, consistent. She kept the hairdressing business running. She started bathing daily, willingly, not under threat, and eventually could joke about it herself. Look at me, Shah, fading gradually, one bath at a time. Finally able to laugh at the old excuse instead of hiding behind it. Comfort moved on to another job months later, once Simei had genuinely proven she could manage the house herself. But she left behind more than a clean kitchen. She left a standard. Not one built from fear or manipulation, but one Simei chose to hold herself to. Mama visited again months later. She walked through the door, paused, looked around at the clean, lived-in, genuinely happy home, and simply said, Simei, this house is finally smelling like peace. Then, with a small smack, and you too, thankfully. Even Whale eventually retired the nickname, the month Kunlay proudly brought properly packed, well-labeled lunch to work for 30 straight days, daring anyone to find a single complaint. And Simei, the same woman who once declared with total confidence that bathing too much would make you fade, became one of the neighborhood's most requested hairstylists, known now not for her chaos, but for her hard-earned discipline. So here's what this really comes down to. Rest is not a crime. Nobody's saying you should run yourself into the ground proving your worth. But there's a real difference between resting and disappearing, between choosing peace and choosing neglect. Self-respect isn't a performance for anyone else's approval. It's the standard you hold for your own life, your own space, your own body, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody's checking your flask. And sometimes the people who love us most won't shout, won't fight, won't beg forever. Sometimes they'll just make one quiet, clever decision and hold up a mirror you can't look away from. If this made you laugh, made you think, or reminded you of somebody you know, no judgment. We all know a Simei. Drop a comment. Which part had you laughing hardest? The lucky pair, the towel, or Mama's kitchen speech? And if you haven't already, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. Until next time, take your bath. You will not fade.